As we approach the first part of August, we're about to hit my 1-year anniversary on the second podcast that I host called True Stories with Seth Andrews. We crossed 500,000 downloads just recently, and I just want to thank you for listening. If you haven't listened, I want to encourage you to listen. And so from time to time, I'm posting these little 5-6 minute vignettes. I'm sort of cross-pollinating the shows for you, and I've got one here. Just a nice and short distraction. If you like what you hear, if you would do me a favor, share it on your page. Put it on your Facebook or Twitter or Threads or whatever you've got and help me get the word out. It's evergreen. Anybody can listen. No religion, no atheism, no politics, just stories. And share as much as you can. This is a show for everyone, and it might just be a gateway into the other conversations that we're having right here. Okay. This is a 6-minute true story for you. It's called Kidnapping President Lincoln. Enjoy. I'm Seth Andrews, and what you're about to hear is a true story. The United States Secret Service was founded in 1865. Originally not to protect presidents. Originally, the Secret Service was designated for finding and prosecuting counterfeiters. But after the 1901 assassination of President William McKinley, Congress expanded the role of the Secret Service to include the protection of the president and the vice president, and also of foreign dignitaries on U.S. soil. And we certainly could have used the protective powers of the Secret Service well before 1901. And not just for the assassination attempts against presidents, there were so many kidnapping attempts, including an attempt to kidnap Abraham Lincoln. Now, that's a piece of history that few of us were ever taught. Everybody knows about the assassination and John Wilkes Booth and Ford Theater and the great national mourning on that terrible April day in 1865. And some people even know about the other unsuccessful assassination attempts against Lincoln. There was one in 1861 that happened after the election, but before he was even inaugurated. On that occasion, there was apparently a group of men who wanted to assassinate Lincoln with knives on one of his train stops as he traveled to Baltimore. The president snuck into the city secretly for that reason. Later on, a country doctor, a guy named Luke Pryor Blackburn, he hated Abraham Lincoln so much that he took clothes off of yellow fever victims, malaria victims, and he sent them to the White House for personal delivery to Lincoln. He was hoping to infect Lincoln with yellow fever. We had not yet learned yellow fever is not spread through touch, but via the blood. Less than 1 week before John Wilkes Booth at Ford Theater, there was a Confederate sergeant. His name was Thomas Haney. He tried to blow up the White House dining room while Lincoln was having dinner. He was caught before his bomb could be placed and detonated. Yeah, those stories about the attempted assassinations, those are in the history books, certainly more familiar to the culture, but the kidnapping of Abraham Lincoln? I will admit it was news to me. Why had I not ever learned about that plot by those Chicago gangsters recruited to kidnap the 16th president for a $200,000 ransom and the guaranteed pardon of a fellow mobster? Now, these were counterfeiters. They were really good at counterfeiting, but one in the gang had been caught, sent to prison. So the remaining mobsters wanted to kidnap Abraham Lincoln and use him as a bargaining chip to get their friend out of jail. It was a bold plan. Counterfeiter James Keneally devised the plan. Partners Jack Hughes and Terrence Mullen would carry out the plan. They would travel secretly to where Lincoln would be, Springfield, Illinois, approach the secure location, break through the gates and locks using crowbars. They would grab the president, load him into a waiting horse-drawn carriage, drive him some 200 miles to the sand dunes that border Lake Michigan, and from a secret location there, they would hide the president and make their demands. That was the plan. But there had been some rumblings about this plot. A few insiders had whispered information to the authorities who were on alert, and during the attempted kidnapping, one of the kidnappers' guns accidentally fired. Police nearby heard that shot. They thought the shot was directed at them. They fired back. There was a gun battle. The shots heard for miles. Chaos, confusion. And amid the confusion of that moment, these would-be kidnappers got away. Until they were found and jailed less than 2 weeks later. Sent to trial. That trial lasted only 2 days. The verdict was guilty. Both Hughes and Mullen sentenced to 1 year and 1 day at Illinois State Penitentiary. 1 year and 1 day. That sounds suspiciously short for the attempted kidnapping of a United States president. Of course, it might make more sense to you when you realize that these kidnappers were grave robbers. That crowbar was for cracking the gate at Oak Ridge Cemetery and breaking the padlock on the chamber door of Abraham Lincoln's tomb. These men who had hoped to bargain with the body of a president, they attempted their kidnapping of a corpse in 1876, a full 11 years after Abraham Lincoln had been killed. And that is a true story.
TrueStoriesPodcast.com